and drive-in ice. Okay, so let's make a quick virtual pit stop in Nashville this morning. 7 inches of snow still on the ground from Winter Storm Heather. You're in the teens, which beats -1 at this time yesterday. Still pretty cold, but you know, heading in the right direction, at least for a little while. Now get ready for Winter Storm Indigo to bring a wintry mix into Nashville. Less snow, but you could also see some accumulating ice this go around. So that's going to be problematic for driving and power outages, as Jim just mentioned. Now, when you're talking about less than a tenth of ice, the power outages aren't as big of a worry, but certainly hazardous travel. That's going to be a problem. So let's time it out for you in Nashville. Cold this morning, but nothing like yesterday. You'll notice as we head through your afternoon, you're getting some of that freezing rain building in the wintry mix, a little bit of snow as you look farther north. The I-40 corridor just going to be a mess. Now, Nashville's already had over 7.5 inches of snow so far this month. On average, you see about 2 inches for the whole month of January. So even though this isn't a big snowmaker, this is adding on top of what was already well above average snow. So keep that in mind. Your commute home from work today in Nashville could be a little slick. To Chicago now, where you'll notice any snow that was falling is beginning to pull out. What's going to happen is we'll see that snow building back in overnight tonight, especially those winds are going to pick up. For your afternoon commute there in Chicago, you'll have that snow falling heavy at times overnight. The winds begin gusting after midnight. And Chicago also above average so far for snowfall this month. We're sitting in the double digits. We're about 8.5 inches above average for snowfall for January there in Chicago. So this isn't going to be a huge snowfall maker, but it's adding on to what is already above average snowfall across this region. And you'll notice where we're seeing some of the higher totals here. Yeah, you're getting in on some of that lake effect snow as you look to northwest Indiana. That's going to add up pretty quickly, and that could definitely be impacting your Friday commute. To Des Moines, where you're going to get a couple inches out of this as well. You'll watch your Thursday. This begins to fill in as we head into the early afternoon. Your lunchtime, that snow is falling. So maybe if you're in Des Moines, you don't want to deal with being out on the roadways for your lunch hour, go ahead and pack the lunch, take it with you for today. But your afternoon commute is still going to get you. You're still going to have to drive in some of that snow. But, you know, like I said, this one isn't a huge snowmaker, just more of an inconvenient snow, which quite often for places like, say, Indianapolis, when you're talking about the 1 to 2 inch snowfall range, that's when more people are out on the roadways, especially when you're talking about this commute time Friday morning, say. And Lynette, that's typically when we see those issues, when it's just a couple inches of snow and people are like, oh, it's no problem, but the roads are still slick.
Exactly. So definitely have to take
word there. So still going to be cold though. I just think that, you know, when you think of Buffalo, you think of the cold, obviously. Now the Chiefs taking on the Bills this weekend, and it will be cold, but not as cold as it has been. That's the good news. Orchard Park, you see it here. Temperatures down in the 20s, but those wind chills, that's what's going to get you down in the single digits as you head into the nighttime hours. Winds at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Of course, that game kicking off Sunday at 6:30, so that's going to be later afternoon after the sun's down. Baltimore, Texans taking on the Ravens. It's going to be quite windy for that game and very feels like the single digits in cities like Dodge City, Nashville, Minneapolis, but that probably really sticks out to you when you look at Bismarck and Rapid City. Feels like below zero when you factor in the actual temperature and the winds. Today, the highs staying in the single digits in Bismarck and Minneapolis, so staying very, very cold. That's your high temperature, but look at some of the highs today. Nashville, St. Louis, mid to upper 30s. Tulsa, mid 40s. Omaha, 19 degrees will be high today. By tomorrow, though, as that Arctic cold begins to bleed farther southward, we're looking at highs in, say, Tulsa in the 20s, Omaha single digits, Minneapolis single digits for you as well. So we're seeing those below average temperatures just expand over the next couple days, and you see it here. It's making it all the way into the south, places like Texas and Louisiana getting in on that, and then eventually by Saturday we've got that all the way down into Florida. So yeah, we're going to see some really cold temperatures, not just where you expect it to be cold, but much colder than, say, average, all the way down through at least central Florida into portions of South Florida. But nothing like this when you're waking up in Sioux City, Iowa, Saturday morning, and the forecast is -20, the old record -19. You know it's cold when you're breaking those morning low temperature records. Grand Island, Nebraska, you've got the forecast of -15. The old record, -15 back in 1888. So it's going to be really, really cold out there. Saturday morning, Lynette, we're just looking at this cold so widespread. We're talking about single digits in southern cities like Nashville.